Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Assume I can be heard and seen by everyone on this webinar. Thanks for being here in the middle of the week, in the middle of a working day. Uh, this is something that's a little important for all of us who are connected with the Paint India exhibition, primarily in the form of exhibitors. So this is again that time of the year when we are ready to launch the booking phase of Paint India 2026. Uh, the date, the details are all up on the screen in front of you. So as things stand, we're exactly 9 months away from the commencement of Paint India. So this is a good time for us to be launching the bookings. Having said that, this is not the start of the preparatory phase. The preparatory phase has been in progress ever since the last Paint India Mumbai finished way back in Feb 26. So what we are doing today is presenting the initial ideas or an initial sense of how the floor plan will look so that over the next 3 to 4 to 5 months, a majority of all of you from the industry can secure your spaces pretty much on the lines of what you've been doing all these years, with the same ease, with the same respect, with the same transparency. And we can all begin our preparations for what promises to be a very iconic Paint India 2026. So let me just move on and share with you what I wanted to share. So I think I'll be speaking to you for the next 25 to 35 minutes. And then there is a provision for question and answers. So please send it in on chat or send it in on the question answer tab. We'll try and answer as many questions as you can once you've absorbed whatever I wanted to say. So before we move ahead with the core element of Paint India 2026 and what's on offer, it's a good idea to remind ourselves of what we had with Paint India 2024. So, of course, I'm assuming most of you were there exhibiting there. What you see on the top part of your screen is basically uh, a time-wise progression of how nicely our event has progressed. Of course, there's data before this also, since Paint India started way back in 1993. Uh, but you can see what's clear is an upward trajectory on all respects in terms of the number of visitors, the number of visitors per se, the number of overseas visitors, the number of booths, the size of the booths, the floor area, and of course, consequently, the heft and the influence that Paint India exhibition now wields globally. So, barring 22, which was an aberration with the COVID year, and obviously the numbers were artificially suppressed because of lack of our chosen venue, you can see that there's been a significant uptick on the scale and every other important parameter. 2026 will be no different. I'll share some of the details with you, but do be prepared for a much larger, a much elevated, and a much more fruitful business experience with 2026, built on already a very healthy base of 2024. Already since 2012 or 14, we are firmly entrenched and established as the number three coating show globally after Germany and China. It's not rocket science, but it's not a secret. But we think we're closing the gap very, very soon. And let's see. We're not enamored by numbers. It's the journey that's more important. Making sure that there's value delivered for everyone's investment into time, money, and effort. So let's go a bit deeper into Paint India 2026. So it's important for me here to share this mission statement that we have coined for ourselves, because obviously the beneficiary is going to be the entire industry. So let me just say it as it is very simply. Our mission statement is to be the global is to be the leading trade show globally for the paints, coatings, printings, and allied industries the world over by the year 2030. That's it. It's stated in front of you in the public domain. I've spoken to many of you about it, but we're putting it out here once again in the public domain because this is as simple as it is. It will take a lot of hard work and effort, but we're ready for it. But this is our clear, uh, undiluted mission statement for ourselves with the Paint India exhibition. And of course, what does it mean for the industry as a vision? We would like this in the process, we'd like to be a catalyst and enable partner in ensuring that the Indian paint coatings and allied industries are able to also move towards achieving global leadership and influence. Uh, and this will happen through the medium of Paint India by giving the whole industry a platform for itself. This is a platform for the Indian paint and coatings industry, and it will be delivered through the highest levels of knowledge, service, and of course the fundamental business opportunities, which is the cornerstone of what Paint India is all about. Okay, now let's go deeper into the subject slowly. Uh, First and foremost, since I think I know I'm addressing a gathering of predominantly exhibitors who will be investing into the event. It's important for you to know, of course, you know it, but it's important for us to reinforce what visitor profile, what customer profile we're all going to be looking at. So, obviously, as the name suggests, Paint India means it's all about the entire gamut of paints and coatings in all its identities, in all its categorization, liquid, powder, deco, industrial, whatever it is. If you're a supplier to any of these industries of raw materials, of testing equipment, packaging material, uh, manufacturing equipment, capital equipment, of course, this is the go-to platform for you. Uh, I have used this concentric circle annotation here because that's actually reflected in how we approach Paint India as a strategy, and we strongly recommend all of you also do it. So the first concentric circle, the bullseye, is paints and coatings, which I think by all reckoning will be 75 to 80% of the target audience. But then you also have other concentric circles around this. So printing inks, construction chemicals, and adhesive sealants now over the years form an integral part of our visitor base. And the reason for this obviously is the commonality of raw materials that go into the formulation of these products. In some cases, the commonality of customers, the commonality of technology, and last but not the least, the fact that these industries do not have worthy standalone platforms for themselves. So Paint India has subconsciously to start with and consciously later gravitated towards becoming the go-to platform for these sectors as well. Number three, interestingly, not many of you might realize it, but master batches and compounds, even though these belong technically to the category of plastics, thermoplastics. What happens is, again, it's all about the raw material base being common. So a lot of pigments, a lot of the specialities, a lot of the additives, carbon black, TiO2, all of these are also vital ingredients for the master batch and thermoplastic compounding industry. And these are lucrative business pockets for all of our exhibitors. So while conventional plastic shows address the needs of master batches and compounds more from a selling perspective, Paint India is nicely positioned because of the large supplier base and the lack of distraction of sales on the part of master batch and compounds. It allows the master batch and the compound industry to use Paint India very effectively as a sourcing platform for these ingredients that I just mentioned about. So we strongly urge you to also weave this into your strategy. By the way, we will be holding other webinars in the future where we will be doing a deep dive into what your strategy should be. So that time we'll speak about it. Today is more to lay down the platform for how the bookings are going to be progressing. The fourth concentric circle is what I would say the peripheral industries, composites, packaging, general chemicals, polyurethanes. A lot of our ingredients are also finding application in these segments. So while it's not a core segment by any stretch, these are also customers, these are also verticals or industry segments from where you can rightfully expect customers to be walking in and also giving you chunks of business there as well. Uh, Over and above all of this, there is a small matter of the entire integrated vertical supply chain. Okay. So remember, we start with base chemicals, metals, monomers, and then we go right up to the application. And then there are layers in between. There is a resin or a pigment, which of course is a constituent or an ingredient into the formulation of paints or inks. But the manufacturing of pigments and resins, for example, also has its own raw materials, also has its own equipment, also has its own testing. So as the show has grown in influence and as these industries are very big, so remember, India is a very, very large manufacturing base for the ingredients also, not only the formulation industries. There is a lot of interplay or there's a lot of business to be won between these segments. So there is a lot of vertical selling and buying that will happen within this industry. And again, this is something that we should be mindful of when we plan our strategies in terms of exhibiting here. So these were the concentric circles. Now, two important aspects, the geographies. Now, if I go back to the late 90s or the 90s, honestly, and look, the whole purpose of conducting this webinar is to be as honest and transparent. And in doing so, if that means admitting some of our shortcomings, we're okay with that because finally it's a process of improvement for us also. We have done it all these years. We'll humbly continue to doing so, but we must, I must at least have taken the responsibility to be as transparent, put out everything there for all of you to absorb, use your feedback to improve ourselves. And again, we are not here to try and create any information arbitrage or create any curtains where we pretend to be something else and then we are something else. No, that's not the case. I think you, all of you as paying clients, as people who trust us, deserve full disclosure, and everything that is uh, there in our, all the information and all the strategy that is there will be made, must be and will be made public. So we started in the early 90s as a very small show. I would say we struggled perhaps to even, at best, we were representative of the Western belt of India. As we grew into the late 2000s, we started slowly pushing the envelope and becoming a pan-India show. Uh, Over the last decade and bit, we've actually become a truly international exhibition. Uh, if you go back to the statistics, I don't want to dwell too much on that, but without any exaggeration, we had visitors from 73 different countries. Some of them might have been a single visitor, but the truth is we had visitors from 73 different countries. And for all of you whose businesses are also export oriented, please demand and expect this from us. We are committed not only to bringing you business development opportunities across the length and breadth of the country and all of these industries, but we also want to add a new dimension of strong international business prospects for all of you. Then, of course, there is the application segment. So we are also trying to map different application segments. Let me give an example to you. When you talk of wood coatings as one of the consuming sectors, of one of the categories within wood coatings, we must also, we are trying to build in the intelligence as to where could wood coatings possibly be used. Is it kitchenware? Is it furniture? Um, is it let's say fenestration applications, construction, wherever it is, we are trying to build in that influence, that knowledge. And slowly we are also getting customers who are coming in from these segments, even though it seems a bit far-fetched, because a lot of the approvals, a lot of the technology is actually being driven by your customers. And that positive rub-off is actually going to be happening even in the raw material segment. So we are trying to include even the application segment. And just as the show grows, becomes more vibrant, becomes a bigger brand, you will see a lot of customers coming in from there. So this was a snapshot of the kind of customers you should expect at the show and prepare yourself to be exposed to. Okay, now let's come to, I think, what is the fundamental reason for me holding this webinar? The event outlay. I think most of you are fairly familiar with the Bombay Exhibition Center or NESCO, but there are some changes. So first things first, we have, for the first time, we have 4 large halls uh, that we are booking. Earlier, we started with the smaller halls, then the bigger ones, then 1, 2, 3. And today we've reached a stage where we've got 4 large halls, all of which are in relative, very close proximity to each other. So It's got the advantage of scale, but you're not really drifting away, which is good for the coherence of the event. Uh, it's about 30 to 35% larger than Paint India 24. So Paint India 24 was no small event either. And we managed to outdo ourselves, and we will be significantly a third larger than Paint India 2024. So, like we have done in the past, we are improving it, refining it further. When you say multiple halls, there is a rationale and there is a certain thought process as to how we will be segregating exhibitors, how we will be allocating spaces. It's not random, it's not first come, first serve. Uh, it's not based on any single criterion which is not linked to the product portfolio. I think the product segmentation is the cornerstone of everything that we do. I'll share some of the details in the next few slides. So, of course, it's also very important to have easy visitor navigation for the venue as a whole, but also for us to be able to deliver to them predictable pockets of products in certain areas where they can be more decisive, they can spend their time, more effectively, and they can basically go knowing what they can expect where in terms of the products. Um, in terms of the facilities, I think on the one side, while we're grateful to the Bombay Exhibition Center for the venue that they've provided us all these years, we've grown along with them. I think they would also admit that there was something lacking in the facilities that were being provided, and there have been significant improvements. I would really urge you to go and have a look at the venue. There have been significant improvements, which, if don't already take us to absolute international standards, push us much closer to the boundaries of the international standards that we all aspire to. The business part, the scale of our show is comparable to anything in the world, but hopefully for the first time, we will also have a venue that is very conducive to helping us realize the vision of being absolutely world class. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'll be sharing all of this with you in future editions, but parking, the connectivity with all the transport that's being, the facilities that are coming up at a city level. The catering has seen a marked improvement in terms of the number of outlets that are there, even the in-house catering that's there, and you'll see a lot of the venue upgrades in terms of the landscape. So, yeah, basically a much better venue for us. But this is still just scratching the surface. Uh, the space bookings. Now, okay, firstly, the purpose why we're all here. Let me put out and commit a date. The 3rd of June, next Tuesday, is when we will actually be starting with the bookings. But in the meantime, with a bit of communication and on this webinar, I'll try and explain how some of these things are going to be done. So first things first, repeating what has always been the case with us, repeating what everyone is uh, accustomed to, repeating what everyone expects and demands of us, and repeating what is our moral obligation. Okay, so allocation policies, it's always fair, honest, and transparent. Uh, there are no other criteria that are there. It's not a personal rapport. It's not there are no behind the scene negotiations, and I don't mean negotiations in financial terms. There are no favors given, there are no favors taken. Somebody thinks that just because somebody speaks the same language as we do or comes from the same part, no. All of these things, we are as agnostic to all of these factors. The policies are very, very transparent, and I have actually taken the trouble of documenting some of them in the next slide. Uh, and the next point actually says this. So it's not random. There's no spillover mindset. Nobody is going to be treated as if, okay, we have finished our bookings here. Now that this hall is over, we put the rest of them in that hall. Or this section is over, we put for the rest of them there. No. Every exhibitor, no matter how small, whether he's the first timer, a regular, small company, big one, multinational Indian, whatever it is treated the same way. And there is a rational basis and a very deep thought process to every allocation that's done. So over and above all of these things, we have actually attempted a new methodology, which we'll be sharing with you. It's been interesting to say the least. It's not been easy, but I think it's going to be very enriching and very easy for all of us going ahead. Pricing, it's worth highlighting this because, of course, at every such event, everyone is entitled to think, ask, and even demand any kind of concession based on any factor. We don't mind people asking us about this. Okay, we have it's not it's a right that everyone asks. But at the same time, I want to put it here: this webinar is being recorded. It's in the public domain. I want to go on record, and we have done this in the past. It can be verified. This is a small industry. If we claim to do something that we aren't, we will be found out easily and we lose all our credibility. So I'm again putting it out here and stating in the public domain here that our pricing is uniform. There is only bare, there is only shell. These are the two pricings, irrespective of any other criterion that is there. Nobody gets any kind of preferential pricing. If anybody claims that they have knowledge to the contrary, prove it to us. We will give you your booth free of cost for the rest of my life. That is the level of conviction, that is the level of commitment, and that is the level of uniformity that we are operating with. So please be assured that all of you are being dealt in the same manner in terms of pricing. Also, it's worth reiterating that the pricing policy, not only has it been uniform, it's also been transparent. Over the years, we have only increased the price once in 2 editions, which is once in 4 years. And given that the maximum of 10% is the increment that happens once in 4 years, so imagine if you take it even as simple, so it's 2 to 2.5% per year. In an inflationary environment like us, it's next to nothing, particularly for a leading show. So I wanted to take a bit of time to emphasize this. Please be assured that the pricing is uniform. You can ask, we will politely reply to you, but the outcome is going to be nothing less or more than what is documented. Communication is the key. We always, even the purpose of this webinar, I mean, honestly, there is nothing that we could not have done without this webinar. You just go through the processes, you go through the bookings, send out emails, take application forms. The processes are there for all to see. But the idea is we want to be more communicative, two-way communication. We want to learn even more about all of you. It will help us serve you better. It will help us understand your needs in terms of actual spaces, in terms of your expectations, in terms of your products. And all of this knowledge that we have assimilated over the years, ladies and gentlemen, is finally plowed back into the better conduct of the exhibition, which benefits all of you in the industry. So please share as much information as you can with us in terms of what you want, what you expect. Uh, you want to tie up with one of your principals or one of your distributors. You want to be in proximity to someone. You want to be away from someone. All of this information is very, very valuable to us. Okay, let me come towards the methodology now. Uh, I already told you I will be sharing a schematic floor plan later so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I wanted to start by again emphasizing that the product uh, profile is going to be the basis for which people are going to be allocated as per the different into the different halls. So we have different areas for different product categories. That is going to be the primary criterion. But that is just the starting point. What we have done is, of course, all of this is not going to be made visible to you, but believe me, the amount of effort, the amount of time, and the amount of data we have used in arriving at some of these things is really quite mind-boggling when I think about it. So we have all of your historical participation trends, which means we have collected knowledge over the years about what is the typical size of booth that many of you might want in absolute terms and in relative terms, which means somebody regularly takes a 50 square meter size. That's also information for us. But somebody takes a 50 square meter size when the biggest booth is 100, vis-a-vis somebody taking a 50 square meter size when the biggest booth is 250. These mean different things. So we have pulled in all of this data. We have understood and analyzed your historical participation trends, not only in terms of size, but also in terms of access. Somebody wants to be close to the entrance, somebody wants to be away from the entrance, somebody always insists on a two-side open booth. Somebody wants to be close to certain companies. Somebody wants to be away from certain companies. All of this information is there with us, and all of this analysis has been plowed into whatever I'm about to explain. You go a bit deeper, personalized, and I'm not joking. I've had companies who are very insistent on sticking to Vastu, and of course, we respect it, okay? We may or may not believe it, we may or may not think it's important, but when a client asks us, it's our duty to listen. The first thing we'd like to do is listen to what all of you say to us. So, Vastu, numbering. I have clients who say everything else is okay, but please, my number, even though in the logical sequence for that particular location should not be 13, we try and find a solution for that. So all of this intelligence is being built in and is being used to deliver the right solutions to all of you. Decreasing order of size. To be fair, I spoke of my uniform pricing at the start, which means the unit pricing for somebody who's taking 300 square meters for a like configuration, which is the bare or shell, assuming that they take the same thing, is the same as what a 24 square meters is going to be enjoying. So how do I reward the bigger investment that somebody who's taking 300 square meters space? How do I reward them vis-a-vis a smaller one? Because I'm not giving any difference in pricing. It's the location. You get a better location, you get a preferential location, and I think you're entitled to it. Loyalty will be rewarded. So there is also the first right of refusal, which in a like-for-like situation, of course, the halls have changed, which I said, I'll explain that to you. But in a like-for-like situation, there is a first right of refusal clause for the incumbent location that you enjoyed last time, assuming everything's even. If it's not, similar configurations and similar avenues of visibility, location, neighborhood, etc., becomes the primary criterion. Loyalty will be rewarded. Of course, those who have been participating with us for a long time, they of course deserve to be treated that much little more specially than somebody else who has not been doing. There are companies who dedicatedly only participate with Paint India and with no other platform. Believe us, ladies and gentlemen, while we may or may not make it apparent, all of this information is available with us. And of course, we will reward those who participate with us regularly. We will also reward those who are exclusively loyal to us. And I don't think we're doing anything wrong in that. Of course, when we say we are rewarding someone, it is not at the cost of others. Everyone is going to be treated respectfully, but we have to plow in this element of loyalty. We have to recognize this element of loyalty, and we are very open and unapologetic about it. Which also brings us to the question of what if there's a first timer, okay? Yes, we reward loyalty, and I will not get tired of saying it. But what about those who are coming in for the first time, or those who have had to take a break for whatever genuine reason that they had to? They missed a couple of editions. Does it mean that they're going to be sent to the back of the queue and treated as if, listen, we'll come back to you if we have space, or we'll offer you leftovers? No, that's also not the case. So you can see it's basically a confluence of many factors. There is no one single factor that is going to be determined how this allocation is going to happen. And while a lot of what I've documented suggests there's science to it, there's a strong basis to it, a transparent basis to it, there's also a bit of art, which is also the human factor. And unfortunately, I cannot share a magic formula with you. There's a lot of data crunching that happens behind the scenes. There's a lot of human element and our mind that is being applied to it. And the net result of that is that everyone will be dealt fairly with a certain set of rules, with a certain degree of fairness. Again, I'm re-emphasizing that this element of feedback and communication, for us to be able to serve you better, to help you better, I definitely do need all of you to come back. I mean, we do it proactively to reach out to you, but the more you share with us, the better we can enrich your level of participation. Otherwise, it's very easy for us to assume the default that you had a certain kind of size, a certain kind of location, and in the absence of communication, the best we can do is just safely assume that you will do the same, and we will, of course, then reach out to you. But if There are companies, of course, needless to say, there are companies whom we have reached out to, companies who have reached out to us, stating explicitly what they're looking at this time. And obviously, our ability to service them is definitely going to be enhanced as compared to those who do not share information with us. The allocations, how are we going to do it? So what we're going to be doing is the 3rd of June onwards, you will receive a plan which is already populated. Now, please hear me out. You will all receive a plan for a particular hall which you belong to, which is already populated with multiple names, including yours. Okay, the names on the plan are not final currently, but part of this vision or part of this thought process that I explained in the earlier thing. So I believe that company XYZ needs 120 square meters in a certain location, in a certain configuration. Based on history, based on feedback, we have taken the liberty of plugging that in, putting that name on the floor plan, and we will be making it public to everyone. Based on our gut feel, based on our experience, our knowledge, and some very soft seeding that we have done, we believe that we have a 70 to 80% chance of getting this right, which means maybe hypothetically, I am already ready on day 0 or day -3 as it is today, with 70% of my space not only sold out. Selling out is not a problem. I'll be 110% sold out. But I have a clear sense. My plan, my final plan is almost 70% ready if this assumption is right. Whether it is or not, we will see, but we want to get deeper into it. So, what does it mean? When you get this particular plan with a suggested location, a suggested size, a suggested configuration, what you have to do is either you say, yes, this looks good, or you evaluate a few other, come back with a few finer points, we refine it, and over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will finalize this space for you. If you think, no, I mean, it's a wrong assumption, or you don't somehow feel correct about what we have done, there is zero pressure on you. Please go back to the line that I've highlighted out of sequence. The final choice of acceptance rests with the client. We are here to suggest, to help, to motivate, and maybe to even urge you to try and listen to what we are saying. But there is no coercion. We are not like, with due respect, we are not like certain other shows, particularly in other industries, where you are left at the mercy of the organizer. Okay, we are nobody to force you or to impose our decision on you that this is what you must do. We will bring you to the doorstep of what we believe is the best conclusion or the best outcome for you. But opening the door and choosing to walk in is 100% your prerogative and your right. If I have not made myself clear, please feel free to ask this offline. The choice of acceptance finally rests with the client. So if your answer is no, then we go back to the drawing board like we have in the earlier years. Assume the plan is there, you see the names, you see the other options that are there, and we'll pick something eventually that is to your liking. The basic principles outlined earlier will not be compromised upon, which means when I say that, okay, you do not like your particular location, you cannot say that, okay, I need a 200, 150 square meter booth. Why don't you go to the first row and chop the existing 300 square meter booth into two, give me one part, and the current exhibitor who's there throw him somewhere else? That cannot happen. As I said, we're happy to engage with you, happy to find a solution, but there is a certain rule book, there is a certain template, and a certain sense of fairness that we will follow. And eventually, in a larger cross section of a large section of 600 to 700 exhibitors, this is the format that will see us satisfying most customers, if not all of them. So we seek your indulgence in this particular journey. Again, these are done with a great deal of hot data analysis and without bias. Please, please, please don't fall prey to the human mind or succumb to the notion that any of either me personally or any of my team members or Paint India as an institution is biased against or towards someone. We are friends with everyone. Of course, we end up because of convenience, because of geography, or just because of your nature, we end up interacting a little more with certain people as compared to others. But that is not to suggest that this is entitling someone to being biased towards or being biased against. All of you are paying customers, paying me the same unit rates on my terms. It is my duty to treat everyone fairly and equally. So please dispel this notion if it does exist. So we will work together. As I said, I'm repeating myself. We'll work together to find solutions for you. Either the default location or the default solution I've defined. It's good. It's easy. It makes life easy for all of you. Uh, you don't have to apply thought. You don't have to process all the possibilities, the outcomes. You don't have to process all the new things that are happening at the venue. We are trying and doing it for you. But if we can't, we'll find a solution together. So let's work together, overcome whatever limitations and challenges you might have, I might have, and find a solution. But please trust our judgment on certain things and let us adhere to the certain rules that we have followed, not only now, but over the years. Let's not try to fix what's not broken. Even with certain short-term challenges or frustrations or divergences of thoughts that you might have, let's be clear and let's accept that this is a format that has worked over the years and allowed us to grow, allowed all of you to grow. So let's try and stick to the basics. Um, as I said, this engagement will be done. We are always going to be available as a team. Let's have an open mind. Let's challenge each other. Let's ask questions of each other. Let's demand things of each other. But let's do it with an open mind and let's do it respectfully. Now, why have we come across with this? Again, some of these things are probably covered in what I've already said, but the reason for this is, as I said, for the first time, we have 4 different halls. All of them are large format halls spread over a certain area. Uh, what is important to note here is our biggest hall historically, hall number 1, is now going under the hammer. So there will be a bit of change. I'll explain it visually later, but this has necessitated a lot of changes. And these changes are difficult. I mean, I will explain it to you individually and collectively, but the kind of analysis we have done to understand what this means is something that's been happening for the last 1.5 years. So that knowledge resides with us, and we are going to be using that to make suggestions and to find the right solutions for you. So as I said, and what this means is understanding where the entrance points are, where the exits are, where the access points are, where the visitor hotspots are, how does the visitor flow typically happen. So all of this intelligence is there with us, and we can't explain this overnight to you. It's something that we have lived for the last 1.5 years by making multiple visits, by speaking to multiple people within the venue, outside the venue, etc. So what we have effectively done is we are narrowing down the choice on your behalf, where you retain the trump card to accept or reject what we are suggesting for you. But we think again that we are helping you narrow down the choice and make life easy for you. And again, this is the knowledge of the venue. Now, again, by virtue of being Paint India as the magazine, Paint India as the conference organizer, Paint India as the market researcher, and of course, Paint India, the exhibition organizer, we have a deep knowledge of all of you. We know whom you are as a company, how you are as promoters, what kind of work culture you have, what kind of products, principals, distributors, clients, competitors, and as I said, even the personalized professions, personalized preferences in terms of things like Vastu and those kind of quirks that are there. We understand all of these things. So again, all of this is hopefully going to be reflected in the solutions that we offer to you. And then again, built on top of that is the layer of personal feedback, which validates or changes the assumptions that we are making. Uh, Again, as I said, the first come, first serve basis. Now, I know some of you have been after us, sending us emails, sending us polite reminders, waiting for your allocations. Thank you for your patience, but please be assured that the delay is not for any personal reason. It's only so that we have a consolidated set of outcomes for a larger exhibitor base. And of course, you'll be a part of that. The fact that you have reached out to us early will be respected and taken cognizance of, but that will not be the sole basis of us allocating to you something that is not palatable in the context of the rule book that we have set for ourselves. So once the bookings are open, please come back to us and demand an early solution by the sheer dint of the fact that you have reached out to us early, but it will not contradict the rule book that we have set for ourselves. And we believe that if you just try to do things randomly, all of us individually and collectively will underachieve. And that is the reason why you see a lot of large format exhibitions that are taking place, which have a lot of exhibitors, a lot of visitors, but they tend not to have a soul. They tend not to have a business focus. There is no coherence. It all seems very random, and this is exactly what we want to avoid. One thing I wanted to emphasize is while I'm talking to all of you here, which is basically my exhibitor profile, and of course, finally, you are my paying customers. So it is my duty to make sure I take care of your interests. But on a larger canvas and in the larger scheme of things, finally, all of us are going to benefit if your customers, which is nothing but our visitor base, if they go away with a good experience, that is going to be the hallmark. Getting those quality visitors and ensuring that they have quality engagements with quality outcomes for all of you is the holy grail for our exhibition and for any other good trade show. So let us also perceive it from their end. Sometimes when there will be questions asked, why do you want to bunch a certain company profile or a certain product profile in this way? Or why do you want to have this kind of a size orientation or these kind of rules? Again, it's not random. It's been based on a lot of analysis, a lot of feedback that we have taken from your customers. And believe me, if we can keep them happy and allow them to derive maximum mileage from this event, your success and consequently mine is assured. And uh, please try and understand from our point of view. Of course, this is our business. We're not doing you a favor, but just try and understand that, of course, for you, your individual booth is important, okay, and it should be. But for us, it's a small matter of balancing, ensuring the interests of 650 exhibitors, which is the number we are looking at this time. And I have to do it with a sense of fairness, transparency, grace, and also balance. Now, when I say balance, it's not only this part of it, but also when you see the floor layout, I have to ensure that the balance of the pedigree of the exhibitors, of their ability to pull customers, all of that has to be balanced across this floor plate. I cannot have a certain zone which is going to attract 90% of the visitors and leave only 10% visitors to do the rest. So all of this is my job, it's my responsibility. We have done it, but I just wanted to convey to you that this is the challenge that we face, and of course, we are happy to face the challenges and come out on the right side of it. But please try and be a little empathetic and understand why we are doing certain things. Okay, so very quickly, this is finally what it is. Okay, this is the venue. Uh, I spoke last time. Now, this was hall number one, which was by space about 65% of our exhibition. This is now going into demolition. It will be made available to us in 2028 when we come back in an even bigger format. So we'll take an even bigger area, but let's deal with that in 2028. For the moment, we have these four halls. Two of them are new halls. We are using them for the first time ever, which is why I've also been using this new methodology. I do not expect any of you to know too much about these halls. We have done enough homework about it, so we understand all the little points that we said. Um, I've also got the directional orientation. Of course, needless to say, all of this is going to be shared to you in depth. I'm just giving you a first-hand flavor of it. This is the Western Express Highway. This is South Mumbai. This is North Mumbai going towards Gujarat. These are the two main gates. This is the new hall number 6. This is the new but slightly older hall number 4 in front of the parking. 2 and 3 remain exactly as they were last time. So let's move ahead quickly. So if you compare 2024 and 26, in a way, Hall 2 and Hall 3 are retained in their form, except that we are switching product profiles for certain logistical reasons, which you don't have to worry about. They're identical in size, outlook, and in dimensions. So basically, you have Hall 2 and Hall 3, which are retained, Hall 6 and Hall 4, which are new. The product categorization. Hall 2 will be, we've always had this kind of segregation. So hall 2 will be continue to be machinery, testing, and packaging. Hall 3 will be pigments and colorants. Hall 4. Now, okay, let's take a break here. Hall 1 is basically what we had in Hall 1 plus the growth factor that we had. Okay, we already had about 20% room for top of growth in 2 and 3, which we will cover up. We had enough buffer space. 1, if you remember, was bursting at its seams. So already we had the largest fall, which was insufficient. And now we have a growth factor. So what was already inadequate at 100, now we are looking at 130 or 140 by way of demand. And that is where we are able to split it across these two halls, because these two halls individually are not as big as hall 1, but collectively they give us about 50% space more, which is good. So as I said, we are not positioning, by the way, this is again a very, very important point. Let me make it extremely clear. There is no hall which is the main hall, or there is no hall which is a lesser hall. It is only a segregation of products, zones by segregation of product profiles. If you see, every hall has an entry, every hall has an exit, every hall has its limitations, every hall has its positives. The access, this is if I go back, even though this was linear, it was a much larger floor plate. Now, the challenge for a person to navigate from here, one end of hall 1 to one end of hall 3, was a real challenge, which was just circumstantial. We couldn't do anything about it. This time, if you look at it, it's a much more concentrated floor plate that we have. And the access between halls at any point, this is the service road, if you all remember. So it's a much more concentrated floor plate, which will mean better utilization of time for visitors and a better interflow of visitors. So the downtime that some of us faced, honestly, in a certain hall vis-a-vis the other halls is not going to be expected this time. So what we've done is we've taken the profile from hall 1 into hall 6 and hall 4. And since it was a much larger profile and a new set of halls, we have split it not in a random way, but by product profiles. And again, this is done with a certain thought process. So additives and distributors are going to be in hall number 6. Resins and minerals are going to be in hall number 4. Very quickly, the criteria that we used is we did multiple rounds of plotting. And when I say multiple, I don't know, it could number 30 to 40. That many times we actually did plottings, erased it, went back, did plottings till we finally found the balance, the right balance in terms of a product profile. And when I mean the balance, it was the number of square meters, it was the number of exhibitors, it was the let's say the gravity of the exhibitors. As I said, it should not have led to one hall being very lopsided. You can't have one team which has all the good batsmen and bowlers and then the lesser ones in another. No, it's very, very evenly balanced. When I show you a quick preview of what we've done, you will accept and resonate with what I'm saying. Also, one important fact, which there could be exceptions, but again, look, this is the advantage of listening, taking feedback, communicating with the industry. I think we'll all agree that the buying pattern of additives is significantly different from the buying pattern of resins and minerals, whether it's in terms of direct purchases, whether it's in terms of negotiations, whether it's in terms of MOQs, whether it's in you know terms of forecasting, whatever. A lot of the feedback that we've got suggests that additives need to be treated differently vis-a-vis resins and minerals. And of course, then the distributors who are multi-product or multi, you know, technically they could be a part of any zone. We found that for all of these reasons, they fit in well here. So this is what we can expect by way of the hall concentration layout and also the product profile. So don't dwell on the names too much, okay? But I just wanted to let you know, when you go through Hall 6 and Hall 4 particularly, you'll see the balance of power. You have the worthy resin players, whether synthetic, whether water-based, whether multinational, whether Indian, occupying the space here. Likewise, you will see some of the additive companies, some of the large format distribution companies, you will see all of them. So when you look at it as a balance, you will say that, okay, this set of exhibitors are as desirable, or they will attract as many audiences, or they will have as much innovation on offer as the other set. So what you have on the left side is the shell, I mean, is the bare, unconstructed or unfilled or undocumented thing. And here we have started implementing all that we said. Loyalty, last time size, feedback, all the criteria. These are names, of course, they could change, but just to let you know, so this hall number 4 is similar to hall number 1 in that it has a more deeper configuration. By the way, this time none of the booths across all the 4 halls will have pillars inside the booths or even in the aisles. That is one huge change that we have been able to engineer, partly because certain halls allowed us to have no pillars. And the 2 halls where there is a central line of pillars, we have changed the configuration to uh, let's say, mask the pillars in an intelligent way. So you will not have pillars in the aisles or in the booths. And coming back to this, this is pretty much what we can expect. And please do not dwell on this right now. This is not the idea to look at individual booths or individual names. Okay, so but you get a drift of what I'm saying here. Likewise, you'll get a drift of what I'm saying here. Decreasing order of size. So everything that I said, loyalty, decreasing order of size, first right of refusal, ensuring competitors to the best of our ability are sequestered, all of those factors you will see at play out here. So here you will have about 175 exhibitors. Here you'll have about 155 exhibitors. Here, please bear in mind that we will have only 2 aisles, 2 or 3 major aisles in this particular hall. And the good thing about that is the visitor flow is then concentrated. The opportunity to see, even though it's a deep hall, is going to be much better. The visibility for each booth is going to be much better. On the other hand, here, while you have multiple aisles, the depth of this hall is much lesser than the width. For those of you who recollect and can identify with it, this is a bit similar in structure to what the ground floor of Geo was. So here again, you have the aisles, you have the opportunity to see. Even the so-called last row here is not far behind, because in proximity to the entrance, you can see it's quite clear. The entrances are going to be here, basically here, and then you'll have a funneling of the crowd in between. So everywhere, no matter which part of the hall you're located in, there's a very, very equitable flow of visitors. Likewise here, because the visitors are going to be funneled into only 2 or 3 aisles, the opportunity to see even at the middle or the rear end of the hall is significantly uh, great, like it was with hall number 1. In fact, in hall number 1, where we had this kind of depth and still 6 aisles, it was even more challenging. So if we have been able to succeed there, hall number 2 and 3, I'm not going so much in depth for 2 reasons. One is we have used these halls in the past and many of you are used to it. So again, it's a little more in depth, but again, there are going to be only 2. These are 2 different halls, by the way. This is a separator, okay? This is the hall for pigments and colorants. This is the hall for machinery. Again, only 2 or 3 aisles all over, no pillars. I've mentioned the maximum size of the booths everywhere for you to see. By the way, this recording and this presentation is going to be made available in the public domain. So if you think you're missing something, don't feel obliged to take notes or take photos. It's all there in the public domain. So again, we've got the names documented here, like in the other booth, in the other halls. I'm sorry. And we will be sharing with this with all of you and hopefully securing your space either as an agreement to what we have done, or thing here, I spoke about the enhanced number of cafeterias and the quality. The major cafeteria for this particular venue is now going to be here, and it's a permanent structure. Earlier, we had to construct our own structures. Now the venue's got its own permanent cafeteria here, which is also going to funnel in a lot of the audiences here. Okay, so we will have separate sessions where we will tell you how you can compute your budgets as a function of the overall things. We'll be sharing the costs, the application forms, everything. But if you want, you can just have a look at this slide for half a minute. We've tried to give you a sense of how to calculate your budget, okay? Particularly these 2 points. So if you're taking, it's very easy to compute the cost. So if you're taking 100 square meters and we are charging you 10,000 rupees or whatever, or 20,000 rupees, it's easy to calculate. Your cost is 20 lakhs. included thumb rule formulae for you to arrive at what your consolidated budget is. Even though this particular part is the only one that you have to pay to us, and of course there are exclusions which are unique to your particular setup. I just wanted to conclude that finally, please remember, I don't need to say it, but this is your hard-earned money, and more importantly, it's your personal business. Please choose wisely. It is your money. Park it with the best. If you think we are the best, park it with us. If you think somebody else is the best, go park it with them. But I think the era or the age of playing a safe game and parking small amounts of money in different places, it's not going to win you the game. Even if it means parking zero with me, that's okay. Or parking 100 with me, that's also okay. As long as there's a conviction and there's a thought process that you're going with the best. Gone are the days where you could be doing business with favors. All earns you a little bit. That's not how things work. As I said, please choose best, and once you're there, you have to plan, strategize, and execute. Ours is the serious business. I don't want to, glorify myself or put down others, but ours is a serious business platform. I mean, it's reflected in the moniker that we have coined for ourselves. Uh, every rupee that you invest in us is plowed back into enriching the event, enriching the business experience for you. We are not taking your money to blow it up on any kind of entertainment program or anything, or it's a very linear kind of thing. Everything here is about business for yourselves. So please, I just wanted to leave you with that particular thought as well. Uh, yeah, so also a small reminder that we have a Powder Tech event coming up. You'll see in the next slide. Okay. So the countdown, there are only 270 days to go. Okay. Which is a long time, 9 months. But for an event of this scale, it is a long time. I mean, it's not as long as we think. There's a lot of work for you to do. There's a lot of work for us to do, but I think we can really accelerate it with this new methodology. And let's not only ensure that the destination is as rosy and as lucrative as it is, let's also enjoy and learn along the way with the path and the journey. Okay. And I just wanted to once again, sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to once again reiterate what our mission statement is, that we want to be the leading trade show globally for the paints, coatings, inks, and allied industries for the year 2030. I started with this. I will conclude with this because finally, this is the mission that propels us ahead. You is vital for all of us. Uh, Questions? I'll start. I couldn't read them, but let me start taking some of the questions that are there. Uh, in the meantime, I just wanted to reiterate that you must understand that we are also the publishers of Paint India. So there is no downtime for us. That is one point I wanted to make where we have continuously been working since the last show got over every day, either in terms of the logistics, in terms of the planning, in terms of the floor management, in terms of engaging with you. We have our outreach programs. So this journey, there is nothing like an off switch for us. We are continuously working 24 by 7 by 365, and that is the reason why Paint India is the iconic success that it is. So yeah, let's ensure that we continue to do well with whatever we have been doing, and let's really make this a grand show. You will hear from us, honest, and that time we can secure our spaces. So let's look at what questions we have. Okay, there is one question which says, please share this presentation with us. As I said, yeah, the presentation and the recording will be made uh, available. Uh, okay, when will you receive the allocation details by? As I said, we will start this process on the 3rd of June. So within the next few weeks after that, you could expect it. As I said, there will be halls, and within halls, there will be zones which are primarily decided by size of booths. But in the meantime, you have this email ID out here on your screen. Whatever feedback you have, whatever queries you have, whatever demands you have, please send it to us. Okay. So we honestly, overall, we think that by September, 100% of the bookings. So there was one point which, okay, there's also a point which asks, got a note on WhatsApp also. Will we receive the hall layout with booth sizes so that we can take an informed decision? Yes. So you will receive the hall layout with booth sizes, which was exactly what we used to do in the past, except that now you will see names which include yours also as a suggestion and others so that you get a sense of where it is. So as a bare minimum, whatever was happening earlier will continue to happen. This is only one added layer of suggestion, information, and potential choice that we are adding. So one of the questions was, we are committed to being an exhibitor, but for the as a first timer, and they've mentioned they will be a large format exhibitor. I don't want to mention the size or the name. Is this going to be held against us? Preferential space. As I said, the one part of rewarding loyalty continues to hold good, but the other part of making sure that you also fit. That's why I said there is no one single criterion. There is the decreasing order of size, but there is also loyalty. There is also product profile. So finally, all of these put together will help us arrive at the best solution for you. We want to increase our booth size from the previous edition. How can it be done? Okay, and I'm not reading out the name, but the concerned gentleman has already. So, sir, you have already communicated to us very, very clearly what you wanted. The ball is now in our court. We have what kind of size you want. We know your product profile. We know your history. Based on this, we will come back to you with suggestions, and we are supremely confident that the solution that we come up with will be to your liking. If not, you can continue to talk to us. Okay, there is also a question which asks if we are a multiple product manufacturer or distributor. So, okay, it's in two. Let me answer it in two parts. Basically, if you have multiple products in your basket, how do you decide which hall to go to? So obviously, we'll be treating this as a slightly exceptional case. We will look at the two or the three halls that are potentially open for you to qualify. We will look at where you have a higher business stake. If it's resins and pigments, for example, is resin more important? Is pigment more important? Is one criterion. The second criterion could be that for the desired size that you want, where do you think you're getting a better location in terms of the availability? So as I said, there is a science to it, there's also an art to it, and together we'll find the right answer for yourselves. Okay, there is one question which asks, okay, maybe it's a new exhibitor because many other shows have differential pricing for corner side booths or island booths or different configurations. We do not have that. For us, it's a single price. We have an absolute price, and as I said, that's where the loyalty kicks in. If somebody wants a four-side open booth, the size that entitles one to a four-side open booth is pretty large. And since we are not making any exceptions on the pricing, the investment that you will put into that kind of size entitles you to taking that without any premium that is there. Which international countries and companies are you expecting to participate? There's 73 countries. There are 650 exhibitors. I can't document all of them. I mean, everyone who's there knows the kind of countries and companies. All I can say is that as we march towards being the leading coating show in a small matter of 5 to 6 years from now, every country which wants to do serious business in India and every company in its right mind would want to, all of them will be there. Is there a mezzanine area in any of the halls? Uh, the halls per se do not have a mezzanine area. All the halls will be on the ground floor level. So I think this was a kind of an obtuse reference to the Geo show where it was at two different levels because of lack of space. So here you will not have any mezzanine. All the four halls are all at the same level, which is at the ground level. So you do not have to climb up to access it. If there was also just proactively, if the reference is to whether you can build a mezzanine within your booth, there are a bunch of rules that you have to follow, and these are more regulatory rather than organizer driven. So we do not recommend it, but it is not impossible. For multiple reasons, it is not recommended to have a mezzanine. But it can be done eventually if it has to happen. Okay, there is a question about, I think I've answered it, but it's worth going through it. Our business is predominantly export oriented. Hence, we have not participated so far, but when we came as a visitor, we found a lot of international footfall last time. So we are inclined to participating this time. Um, can you share your strategy? So I think it's a combination of, first, they want to validate whether there will be international visitors. Yes, there will be international visitors. As I said, 73 countries, take it with a pinch of salt because some might be just one or two, but we have buyers. And see, one is the number of countries. Second is the concentration. These are all serious buyers and industry players that come from all across the world. So definitely you'll be there. And what there was also a question of what is the strategy. So we participate or visit most of the serious trade shows globally. In fact, there was a time when we used to go to all possible trade shows. Now we ourselves have become a benchmark. So in all humility, we don't feel the need to go all over. So we go to the marquee trade shows, and we have a lot of direct uh, communication channels with the industry. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight, there was one slide which I just omitted, but there is a lot of, over the years, you can imagine that we have a lot of direct connections with the industry globally also now. So that particular connect that we have allows us to now reach out. Sorry, I'll just stop the screen sharing. It allows us to reach out directly to the industry. So a lot of our marketing is very direct with the industry. So we have the databases, we have the credibility, we have the contacts, we have the one-to-one channels with many of these serious buyers from across the globe. And that is exactly what we will be deploying. That goodwill, that knowledge, that proximity is what we'll be deploying to get you internationally. So yes, this is a not only it's an affirmative answer, it's a commitment. I've told you, please hold me responsible for this. We are committing to all of you that you will also get international visitors. Yes, how can we end the session without a question on China? So look, the China situation honestly is something that's beyond our control. It is it's a government driven decision. It's based on uh, politics, or rather, it's based on a geopolitical situation, which is honestly far bigger than me or far bigger than any of us. So we believe that if a certain set of decisions are being made, A, we assume they are being made for the right reason, and B, we have no choice but to accept them. So as things stand, the Chinese are not getting visas. It could change. We are still 9 months away. Uh, so we have had in the past Chinese exhibitors, and if the rule book says that they're allowed to exhibit, we welcome them with open arms, like we do with anyone else. But as of now, it's a very transient situation. We cannot predict what it is. And the second question, the fundamental question, is that right now in my planning, given the situation, we do not have huge pockets of space kept aside for the Chinese. And in spite of that, we are already in a position where we might be running short of space. So if they do come on board, how we accommodate them is an entirely different question. Okay, we're coming to the end of. Okay, so there is one which said we want to increase our booth size, and one which says that if we want to change our location vis-a-vis last time. Now, whether that's related to size or not, let me answer it. I'm assuming you want to change the location for a certain reason, whatever it might be, you're not happy with it or whatever it is. We will have to find you an alternate location, which we will work together on. But the question is, there are, let's say, three alternate locations that you have identified. The question is, would any of those incumbent exhibitors who occupied that space, would they be amenable to swapping with you? If not, I have to. It's my responsibility to take them into confidence and find them an alternate location. So it's all like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, I have to For you, it's making sure your one piece sits properly. For me, it's a question of making sure all the pieces fit together properly so that the puzzle is intact. So we will find solutions. I'm supremely confident that solutions will be found, but it cannot be hard coded that this is how we will do it. Okay, many of the questions are overlaps. So we can hold on for another 2 or 3 minutes, and if there are no other questions, we can uh, bring this to a conclusion. Uh, okay, there was a question on. Obviously, I've already mentioned that this event is in Mumbai. It's a large format 3-day event in Mumbai, but it's worth for the benefit of everyone. And since there was a question, we will have our Delhi edition in the alternate odd year, which means 2023 was the first one. 2025, by the way, was held a few months ago and very, very successful, dramatically growing, but still a 2-day show, still a slightly smaller one. We will have it again in 2027 in end Feb or first week of March. We actually have the dates ready, but I don't remember it. So that will be a 2-day show. It's also a large show, by the way, about 300 exhibitors, so not small by any stretch, but much smaller than Mumbai. And just to let you know the extent of planning that we do, again, in the interest of disclosure, you deserve to know what it is. We already have dates ready for 2028 and 2030. We are already working on floor plans for 2028. So this is the kind of advance working that we do. So you are in safe hands. This is not a part-time activity for us. This is the reason for our existence. Okay. How soon will the pricing be shared? So we will start communicating with all of you with the floor plan, with all the background data that you need with the post-show report of last time, and the pricing will be shared. It's there, it's transparent. It's the reason for not sharing it is I do not want to get into a tailspin of asking price-related questions here. I've made my point that it's uniform, and I also told you the policy. So the pricing is transparent. It will be shared with you. Our application form will be shared with you along with all of the other data. So it's it's going to be made available. So there's one question which, again, I've answered. Does pricing depend on the size of the booth? No, it doesn't. I've told you the unit price remains the same. Uh, Minimum qualification for the bare space. Yeah. So I'm assuming everyone knows the difference between bare and shell. Shell is when we give you the booth constructed, readily constructed. Bare is when we only give you the space and you construct it yourself with your own designer. The minimum qualification for bare space is 24 square meters. So if you want a bare space, you have to book at least 24 or more square meters. Um, Okay, I think that we have come to the end of our question. Yeah, I don't see any more which are unanswered, unless my colleague Ankush, do you see any that are unanswered or have you received? Let me just run a check on my.
No, you've answered all.
Yeah, so no, I don't know. Strangely, I've got some on WhatsApp also, but no, I've answered those also. So good. We seem to be okay. Thanks everyone for attending this. Let me just put up my last slide once again, please. Just so that you know, of course, we have a much larger team, but my colleague Varun would be the project director for this. Of course, I'm always around. And this is our so-called central command. Any email that you send to this is diligently logged in. All the information that's there is taken care of, it's noted, and all of that will be reflected in the solutions that we'll offer to you. So please send in comments, suggestions, criticism, ideas, requirements, whatever it is, onto this email ID, and let's use this as a basis to begin this booking process. It's already, believe me, in conclusion, it's really exciting. I must share as a personal uh, disclosure. Every of course the Paint India exhibitions are very successful, but every time we finish a Paint India exhibition, the one concern I have personally always had is, ye to ho gaya, what next? We are always concerned as to how we are ever going to outdo this. In 2024, for the first time, in spite of it being a record show, being the largest, most successful one, for the first time, I finished that Saturday evening. I went to bed saying, okay, we've done a good show, but I can already see a clear path as to how we are going to increase this, not only in 26, but also in 28 and 30. That is, of course, I mean, it's a part of it is credit to Paint India, our team, the knowledge, our work ethic. But a big part of it is basically the industry that we are servicing. When you're servicing such a vibrant industry as the Indian paint industry, okay, $10 billion today is going to be $20 billion by 2030. What more can you ask for? The country, the economy, everything. We are basically at the right place at the right time. And if we can do the right things with the right intent, I think we are unstoppable. So let's take ourselves a little more seriously. Let's enjoy this journey. And this show is really, as I said, the outcome is really going to be something special for all of us. But in the process, let's also enjoy the journey. Let's learn a lot more. Let's communicate with each other, with our industry peers. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to make everything, not only the show, but the industry, it's going to make it more fun to deal with. So I think, yeah, we covered a fair bit of time on a working day afternoon. So thanks once again, everyone, and keep the questions coming. We'll get down to the business end of allocations, etc. Very, very soon. All of us are just a shout or an email or a WhatsApp or whatever it is away. So in the next, we can expect a lot of action over the next 30 to 45 days. Let's get our interest secured. Thank you once again. I'm logging off now. Any further interactions can be dealt with offline. Thank you.